Okay, so let's move on to the next part. And this is where I want to get you to join me in a very short exercise and talk about attachment styles and for you to find out what your attachment style is. So give me a moment. Right, okay. First of all, what are attachment styles? Now, attachment styles, I'm not going to tell you about the history because that doesn't apply to you. What you need to know is how it impacts you. Attachment styles is a way for you to understand how you best communicate with someone. How do you make decisions? So the awareness of it puts you in a stronger position so that you can interact with everyone around you. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean just relationship. It also impacts how you interact with others in work and all areas of your life. And it's basically the very first step. So the awareness of it is the very first step for you to then move to a more ideal attachment style. And I'll talk about what that is. There are actually 4 attachment styles, and one is one that everyone should really aim to go towards. So let's see if we can do the exercise for you to find out what that is. So get your pen and paper or whatever else you need to make a very, very small notes, nothing big. What I'll do is I'll read out a number of statements. And if that statement applies to you, if you think that is true for you, the letter that I have associated to that statement is where you need to then make a mark, a little tick. And then after a while, we see how many ticks you have next to which letter. I'm purposely not revealing what attachment styles is what, because I want this to be completely randomized so you get as accurate a result for yourself as possible. And again, this is just for you. You're not going to have to share this when you might. Just so the more truthful you are, the more honest you are with your answer, the more accurate the result that you get. So be artful. Don't overthink it. Just go with your guts. And if that statement is right for you, then just make a tick. Let's start with the first one.
So we have to write the letter from A, B, C, D on our paper, right?
Exactly. So write A, B, C, D. And this is the very first statement. So the statement is, for anyone who doesn't see the screen, when things get stressful, I prefer to step back and clear my head before talking about it. If you think that represents you, if you think that's true for you, then put a tick next to letter D. And the ones that you can see the screen, obviously, then you can read it yourself. I'll try to go through these not too slowly so you get to see them. Okay, so next statement is, if my partner seems distant, I can't help wonder if I've done something wrong. If that's true for you, put a tick next to letter A. Next statement is, even during disagreements, I'm usually confident that we'll work things out. If that's true for you, put a tick next to letter B. Next statement, I sometimes feel unsure. I want closeness, but I also need space at the same time. And if that makes sense to you, if that applies to you, put the tick next to letter C. Next statement. I'm comfortable showing vulnerability when it feels important. Letter B. And again, I want to stress the fact that the less overthinking you do, the more honest it is, the more accurate your result. And this is going to be interesting for you. Next statement is, I often focus on practical solutions rather than discussing emotions. Letter D. Next statement is, when messages go unanswered for a while, I find it hard to relax. Letter A. Next statement, I can get confused about what I really want from my partner during conflict. Letter C. I find it easy, that's the next statement, I find it easy to both give and receive support in my relationship. Letter B. And only make a note, obviously, if that applies to you. If it doesn't make sense to you, if it doesn't apply to you, just don't write anything. Don't make any notes. Next statement, too much emotional talk can feel draining. I prefer to move on quickly. Letter D. Next statement, I tend to notice small changes in my partner's tone or mood and worry what they really mean. Letter A. Sorry, I forgot to mention. That's letter A. Okay, next statement. I usually feel secure even when we spend time apart. Letter B. Next statement. When things feel intense, I sometimes push my partner away and then regret it soon after. Letter C. Next statement. I often double check that my partner is still happy in the relationship. Letter A. Next statement. I need personal space to feel balanced, even in a loving relationship. Letter D. Next statement, I sometimes struggle to believe that someone could love me and love me fully and stay. Letter C. And that's the last statement. Okay, so I stop sharing for a while. Okay, so whichever letter you've got the most ticks next to, that's the attachment style that you naturally lean more towards. And I'll explain what those are. But before we do that, for the ones who have their camera on, if you tend to lean more towards letter D, do a show of hands. That's me, myself. Okay, so it looks like it's just me. Okay, no, there's two more. This is actually one that, okay, great. No, you can use you show of hands. So basically, this is one that is typically more popular with men. Now, I'll explain what these are and what it means if you have them or you don't have them. But it's interesting because this is what I actually expected because this is one that is actually 3 out of 4 people who have this attachment are men or people who are in a very career-focused role. Okay, so let me talk you through very briefly of what these attachments are, what they mean to you in a relationship, and what it means to you for your career. But before I do that, I want to mention that it's very, very important to notice that these are not labels because a lot of people tend to identify themselves with attachment style and think, oh, this is me, and then they stick to it. These are just patterns we're trying to recognize. So don't eliminate any kind of judgment or anything. Just see information that would help you. And the second important thing is that there's not set in stone. They can be changed and they are changed. I've actually worked with people and changed it. I actually have a 2-session course focused on finding your attachment style and moving towards one that is more ideal, which I'll talk about in a second. Okay, so let me go through the attachment style. I'll share my screen again. And I'll explain what each one is. Let's start with the first one, which is letter A. And this is the anxious attachment style. So when you lean more towards an anxious attachment style, you carry a constant worry with yourself. You're always thinking, will I be enough? Will I be loved or abandoned? And you're always yearning for attention and reassurance. How this shows in your relationship is that you have difficulty being physically or emotionally separated. You're a people pleaser. You see silence or delay as a rejection. You sometimes overinvest emotionally. And how this shows in your career is that you have a constant need for validation. You fear that a slight hesitation means disapproval. You feel insecure about feedback or perceived criticism. And you overcompensate in performance just to feel worthy. And this is just me just explaining what this attachment style is. And I want to stress the fact that I don't want you to feel like this is something that sticks. This is just how we are. Okay, the next attachment style, the D, which I talked about earlier, is called avoidance. This is something that I'm definitely identified with, especially 12 years ago. It almost described me perfectly. And it's not a good thing. So it's something that I try to change. But let me explain what it is. So if your attachment style is more avoidant, you're likely to pride yourself on your independence. Your underlying belief is basically, if I rely on no one, I can't get hurt. And the way this shows up in your relationship is that you feel uncomfortable being emotionally vulnerable. You pull away when things get too intense. You value logic over emotion because it feels safer. You struggle to directly express your needs and affection. And the way this shows up in your career is that you're highly self-reliant and focused on performance, but you can appear emotionally detached or overly analytical. You're often seen as the rock, not the actor, but you're steady, but you are hard to read. And you have difficulty delegating or asking for help. And this was attachment avoidance. The next attachment is called disorganized. If you're more a disorganized attachment person, you probably carry an inner conflict with you. You crave closeness and you're scared of it at the same time. The closest analogy that I can have to this is if you're driving and you're pressing on gas and brake simultaneously. So it's one that is a little bit, as the name suggests, disorganized. And this how this shows up in your relationship is that your behavior is both hot and cold, and you fluctuate. You want love, but you also push it away. You have a big fear of being hurt or controlled. When things get emotional, you either overreact or you shut down. And obviously, this means that you probably have a lot of mood swings. The way this shows in your career is that you struggle with building trust or authority. Your behavior is inconsistent, and which means you can be brilliant one day and very quiet the next. You fear failure and you fear success at the same time. So they both coexist. And all the internal tension that you have makes you prone to burnout. This is obviously the least ideal attachment style that we want to be in. So if there is one that you're attached, you identify with, just be aware that it's something that can be fixed, and which brings me to the next attachment style, which is the most ideal, which is secure attachment style, letter B. And so if you're more secure, if your attachment style is more a secure one, you believe that I'm enough and others are too, which means you're completely comfortable with closeness and independence. You can easily give love without worrying that you're losing yourself. How this shows in your relationship is that you're comfortable expressing emotions and needs. You trust your partner's intentions. You handle conflict calmly and constructively. You're solution oriented, which means instead of blame what you're looking for, what you seek is repair. And you don't see distance or disagreements as rejections, that you just see them as a different point of view. And in your career, they show up as you being confident and still open to feedback. You're resilient under pressure. You don't take things personally. You accept criticism without feeling attacked. You collaborate without micromanaging, and you build healthy, trusting, professional relationships. So again, it's important to be aware of this, but it's important to be aware that this is all patterns. This is all part of pattern recognition, and they're not in stone. They are fluid. They can be changed, and I've seen them happen. I've worked with people that have actually gone towards what's the most ideal situation, which is being in a secure attachment. So it's important for us to be aware of what they are, and there are ways to find out how these happen. If you want to find out, there's a lot of information on the internet to see where they stem from and what it means for you. So why are they important? They're important because it's a way for us to understand how we interact with everyone else in our life, not just our partner, but also everyone else at work and everyone else in our family. So I think this is one of the most important things that we need to know about ourselves, and it has a huge implications on all kinds of life. So I have a course, as I mentioned, that focuses on this, and the aim really is to move towards a secure attachment. So this is it on attachment styles. Before I go into the next section, Lucie, is there anything that you would like to add, or any questions so far?
No,
Or
I'm looking as well as the comments. So we have some A, B, C, Ds, a lot of different and a mix here. Some people have same equal result in like two letters.
yes,
So
yes,
what would that mean? And also, I guess this is really, even if we are very much in one letter, I guess this is really subjective. Like it can be very intense at some point and maybe less intense after, right?
yes,
Is that
yes.
correct?
That's correct. And interestingly, I've had people who've been one attachment style in one relationship and a different one in the next relationship. So as I said, it is how you feel at that moment, and it's liquid, it's fluid. It can change. It doesn't mean that you need to think that, oh, this is me for the rest of my life. Absolutely not. It's the good news is that you can change it. And if you have if you have two letters that you have the same number of ticks, and I have the same, that means that you have a combination of these two. But again, you can just see, okay, what areas, let's say if you have part avoidant, part secure, you can see, okay, I like the part that is secure. What can I change about my avoidant attachment style? And then go again more towards a secure relationship. I obviously enjoy the stuff very much. I've enjoyed helping people because I see that the difference that it makes. So, and everything that I offer to people that come to work with me is based on what I've seen that is needed and that it makes a difference. So I have two programs that I wanted to share with you here. One of them I talked about before, which is what's called the Secure Attachment Fast Track, which is about it's a two-session program that focuses on very intensely, so more than what we did today, finding your attachment style or the combination of, and how to move towards a secure attachment style. And the other one is what I call Relationship Success Program, which is a 12-week program. And it's basically the 12 years of my research combined and concentrate in 12 weeks that really make a difference. So, I've tried therapy before. It didn't work with me because it was just so impersonal. Couple therapy, especially, is a nightmare because it just becomes a place for couples to vent about each other, which obviously doesn't help. So, what I needed at the time was something specific to my particular issue, something personal, something that really focuses on the root cause and not the symptoms. And this is what I offer now. So I am being now the person that I myself needed 12 years ago for anyone who is interested in making a change in the relationship. And the impact that it has on people's lives is enormous. I've actually had people come to me and say, Puya, I came to you because I was sick and tired of argument. I just wanted the arguments to stop. What we ended up with is better than how we started because we didn't realize how good it can be with us. And it's such a shame to go without this quality of life if just because we don't have the tools, just because we haven't had the right education. So this is, to me, is life-changing, is important. And I try to provide that personalized, targeted, science-based method that, to me, the most important thing is that it actually works.